Mind, tell us about that trip to the memorial that you guys just made as a team and kind of what that meant for you now that you're in that leadership position and seeing these new guys go through this.
Man, it's every time we walk past it every day to go to study hall, and you see it, but whenever you really just step in front of it like we just did and get the time to take a moment of silence and really just soak in what exactly the situation is that happened with those people. It's very heart touching, and every time I think about it or we highlight it, it just makes me feel the type of way that that all of us is in that same position, that just playing a basketball game, and unfortunately what happened to them, but it just gives us an extra chip and an extra motivation to even want to play even harder tomorrow. Every game's a big, important game, but, it just wouldn't feel right to not give it our all whenever we play. So.
Well said. We'll send you your first question from Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman.
Isaac, how's it going today?
Going good, sir.
Good. You mentioned the memorial stuff too, but you're also honoring Eddie Sutton tomorrow. How much more importance that added honoring Eddie, and what are your thoughts on his legacy?
He had a big legacy here at Oklahoma State and over college basketball, well, the game of basketball overall, and it's just something that we just get to go out there and play for tomorrow for him and the people on the plane. At the end of the day, past basketball and past Oklahoma State and all that kind of stuff, at the end of the day, these were people. These were humans that had families that were loved by a different amount of people. And, the stuff the legacy that they left here for not just their families and their own household name, but for the path that they created for the rest of us, for us players to come in and be able to play how we playing now, different things that they've established. Coach Sutton, he's established a coaching philosophy here at Oklahoma State, the defensive DNA that he's built into Oklahoma State basketball teams. You see it go on year after year after year. So it just shows you that, like, things that you do, your legacy can never die. You might die in the physical, but your legacy can never die as to what you've left here behind you on earth. So, just thank you to all those people that did play for Oklahoma State. Thank you to Coach Sutton for the legacy that he's built. And, just want to go out there and play hard and remembrance of those people and their families.
You mentioned his defensive legacy. A lot of people are talking about this defense you guys have now and kind of playing with that same tenacity they did. You guys feel like you're bringing that kind of style back?
Man, from the stories I've been told, Coach Sutton sounded like he was a tough guy, a real tough guy. And from the stories I've been told, I can tell you and that I've seen, Coach B is a tough guy too. So, it's two perfect alike guys, very, very two competitive guys, very two defensive-minded guys, and very two tough coaches that's going to push their players to be the best that they can be. So I really feel like it's just a resemblance. And also, Coach B, he's going to always ask us to play hard on defense. You can't control making shots every night, but you can control how you play defensively. That's a discipline thing.
And offensively, you guys have, and defensively, if this matters to you guys, have kind of gotten more versatile now with Caleb and MA both in the lineup at the same time. How versatile do you guys feel right now? You can kind of go guard heavy. You could also have big guys in there now. That's something maybe you guys have adjusted.
It feels good. We expected to be able to do this kind of things. At the end of the day, we do have a lot of talented young guys, freshmen and sophomores, but they need to, of course, have those first couple games in the Big 12 to get the flow of the game, to understand that it's moving at a faster pace, more athletic guys playing that we're playing against every night. So they just have to get used to it and adjust at the beginning. Not saying that every game from here on out they're going to perform their best and be perfect, but they're going to be a valuable asset every single night. So I think everybody's going to start playing good consistently, and it's just a good thing to have that we can go small or go big.
Awesome. Thanks, Ice.
Appreciate you.
Next question from Marshall Scott. And just as a reminder, everyone, just raise your hand and we'll get you called on in the order that they get raised.
Yeah, how do you guys kind of learn these traditions? Being a kid from Texas, I'm sure, even just as young as you are, you didn't really know much of Eddie Sutton. You didn't know much of the plane crash. Kind of, how do you guys learn these traditions at Oklahoma State?
From little things like what we just did, how Coach B took out the time to take the whole team there and go to the memorial and show the guys that haven't seen it. My freshman year, whenever I knew about it, but I didn't just really know the backstory of everything that happened. So whenever I stood in front of him my freshman year, I got this kind of feeling, and you can't help but feel for those families, and it's just like the same way a rivalry. Everybody knows who our school doesn't like. I don't come to this school not knowing that I'm not supposed to like them, but overall, you just see everyone around you, and then you grow into the family atmosphere that's going on here, and then my family don't like them, I don't like them, so it's kind of the same thing with the memorial thing.
We're going to talk to Bernard here in a little bit for the first time. How have you kind of seen him adjust since when he first got here? Obviously, his body's changed a lot, but how is he seems to kind of really meshed with the team really well. Kind of, what were your thoughts on him whenever you first saw him coming in and where he is now?
Bern, it's never been a problem for us to believe if Bern can mesh in with the team or anything, because Bern comes in every day. Bernard, that's the job. Bernard, he comes in every day and he works hard. He doesn't ask to have anything handed to him. He doesn't look to do anything fancy. He just comes in every day, works hard, sets hard screens, and just gives us his all every day and leaves practice and comes back and do the same thing next day. Now, and it might not be to the highest of level capabilities that you would want somebody to do something at, but whenever somebody's giving you their all, that's all you can ask for. And then the game, as you can see, is starting to reward him for giving his all. The game of basketball falls in people's laps for those who work hard for it. That's how I feel.
These last thing for me, these past two games, teams have really keyed on you. You've had a difficult time maybe at the rim that you've had compared to your first couple of games this year. Is there something that you've been able to see? Obviously, having Cade will probably help with that, kind of spreading the floor out. Is there something that you've seen in film that you've kind of learned about over these last few games?
Nothing really. I just got to finish. I just got to step up and finish. I've gotten to a lot of floaters in my mid-range game that I've always shot my whole career. I've always shot floaters my whole career. Right now, they're not going in. I just have to keep shooting them, get in the gym, keep working on them, and then finishing at the rim. That's just something I just gotta do. I've always done it, and I just gotta finish at the rim. There's no excuses. There's no film. It's just I just gotta finish at the rim.
Appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate you.
And our next question is from Myron Patton. Go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, I kind of piggyback on what you were just talking about. You hit some big threes, haven't taken a lot of them. Like the Kansas game, you hit a big three. I know the shot clock was running down. Do you think you're going to maybe want to push more of the outside shot along with getting to the rim?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Do you think you'll want to shoot more? You hit a big three against Kansas to help that comeback a couple weeks ago. Do you think you might want to shoot more outside shots to go along with the fact you can get to the rim?
I mean, I just go out there and just try to remain true to myself. It's like shooting. Whenever it comes to shooting, I'll take them whenever I feel as if it's necessary. But at the same time, I like to try to establish getting to the rim first to try to give myself some kind of rhythm. I feel as if I take early ones, then that's just letting teams off the hook with me being unaggressive. So I try to get established at the rim first. Maybe I do pass up on some that people feel I should shoot, especially since I feel like personally I've been working on my shot and it's been getting better and better. But, that just comes with adapting and just growing. I feel like from the shooting aspect, especially, I've grown since my freshman year. So I feel like I can only just get better and better at it.
Also, you're stepping out of conference. You like that? You're playing against an opponent that doesn't see you twice a year or anything like that? Or would you rather just stay in conference? In fact, you're playing an out-of-conference team on Saturday.
Honestly, it doesn't really matter to me if it's in conference or non-conference. I honestly just feel happy to be out there playing. And it just feels good to be out there playing because you never know. Like 2 weeks ago, we wasn't playing any games for a week and a half straight. So to just go out there and be able to play this weekend, I'm happy to play whoever it is.
And for our next question, Jacob Unruh, do you have a follow-up?
I do. Sorry. You mentioned Bernie's screening, and I was curious how good of a screener he is and how physical he is as a screener.
He's a very great screener and a very physical screener. As all of us complain every practice how hard Bernie takes us out on those screens, and sometimes we think he's not even on our team how hard he sets those screens. He doesn't do it intentionally. He's just trying to do his job. Bernie's trying to do his job to the fullest, and that's what he's all about. You tell him to crash the glass every time, he's going to crash the glass. Tell him to screen, he's going to screen. You tell him to dive on the floor, he's going to dive on the floor. So Bernie's just trying to go out there and fulfill his job to the fullest every time, and you can't ask for nothing more from a player. So
is he ringing someone's bell with these screens? What's he doing there? What's happening?
It's all kinds of things, man. He's just physical, and then he's a big body already, and so you just gotta. I can't blame him, man. It's great screens. I love him when he's on my team. I know I'm gonna get over it.
Awesome, thanks.
Do we have any further questions for Isaac Likekele?
Hey, Steven, is my hand not being shown?
No, but you can go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I see it on there. Okay, yep. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, Isaac, you mentioned about the fact that you guys, 2 weeks ago, you guys weren't playing games. How has the locker room dealt with that, the shutdown and just this, unprecedented nature of the season?
Honestly, the day we got out of quarantine and right back to the court, we just act like it ain't happened. That's all you can do. We've been, especially with me personally, being on teams that's had, I don't want to say periods of time where they stopped, but periods of time where they've been missing multiple players of some kind. Last year I missed multiple games. The year before we went from 12 players to I think like 6 or 7. So, I've been on multiple teams where a big hiccup in the roads came and they had to fight back. Luckily this year it was a team thing, so everybody was out at the time, but whenever we came back, all we could do was focus on what we got going on because we had a big game against number 2 team in the country. So we couldn't worry about what was going on exactly. And then we had a quick turnaround for a Monday game. So we really never had time to just think about exactly being in quarantine and stuff like that. We just have to focus on the task ahead.
And then looking at Arkansas, what specifically are you seeing out of them as you head into the game tomorrow?
They're a great team. They run fast, can shoot real well. Good defensive team. They're just a really fun team to watch too. So they're gonna come in here trying to play hard and trying to get the win. So it's gonna be an interesting game tomorrow. Respect to them.
Appreciate you.
That guy has a hand up.
Yep, I'm gonna get him. I've been chatting with him. Just let him know that I promise.
He was like this. I was like this.
Yes, sir. Isaac Likekele would like Bob Holt to ask a question now. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Hey, Isaac. I'm with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Hey, a lot of talk over here about Cade Cunningham and Moses Moody being friends and roommates and teammates. Just wondering, what's your take on Cade and the season he's had and what impact he's had for you guys?
Cade's a great player. Like I always say, to me, he's that guy. Like, he's that guy that any team you would want him. He sacrifices for the team, makes plays for the team. It comes to a point where Cade, he never forces things. He lets the game come to him so smoothly, and he's really just trying to win at the end of the day. So that's why we've won games where Cade has only scored 5 points, but he's had a monster rebound game or a monster defensive game. And then we've had games where Cade has scored 26, 27, and we won. He shows the value of him being able to win in so many different ways and affecting the game in so many different ways that, I know a lot of people look at his scoring and his amazing passes and different things like that. But overall, if you look at his game, you can just tell how much he just wants to win. That's what his game is just winning. Simple as that. So it's interesting to see how he affects the game or how he is going to affect the game for that game every night, you know.
And if I could ask you another, Moses Moody, number 5 for Arkansas. I'm sure you guys have had a while to scout on him. What's your take on Moses Moody for Arkansas?
Honestly, from the things that I've heard in the film, and then I watched their game, that last game. I believe they played Ole Miss.
Right.
That last game. He's a great player. You know, he can shoot it real well. You know, he's a talented player. You know, a very talented freshman, just like everybody in the country that's talented freshman. You know, he's another good freshman, one of those freshmen. And honestly, it'd just be fun to go out there and play. Other than that, I can't really tell you much. But, you know, respect to him and his game, just by the numbers, you know he's a player. So it's going to be interesting to see all this talent on the court tomorrow.
Thanks, Isaac.
Appreciate you.
We got time for one last follow-up from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Ice, going back to Bernie, him being originally from Africa, I think I talked to your mother your freshman year. I believe that your parents are also originally from Africa. So this might not be, I don't know, you might not see it any different, but does Bernie have any unique traditions, unique kind of things that he does?
Not that I know of. Honestly, no, I can't think of any.
Gotcha. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, guys. We'll be right back with Bernie. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Bernie Kouma in the house. I see Jacob. You've got your hand raised. We will let you get it started with the first question for Bernie.
Bernie, how's it going? It's good to finally talk with you and see you in person in front of us, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, man.
Can you, I think the best place to start, it's obviously our first time, so walk us through kind of your journey from Africa to Oklahoma State as best as you can.
My journey from back home to here was a long journey, and I'm glad that I'm here. And I have a chance back home that a coach called, basically he's like a coach back in France named Anisse Kesseli. And he went back, he's from Chad, but basically he lives in France. So when he went back to Chad, he saw me play, so he asked my coach back home. He's like, "Oh, who's that kid?" So my coach introduced me to him, and we have a talk. And he's like, "Okay, we're gonna be in touch. I'm gonna go back to France, and I'm gonna be in touch with you." So I'm like, "Okay." So I'll keep practicing. And one day he called my coach. So he's like, "Oh, I need a video from Bernard so I can send some school back in the US. So they want some big men." So I'm like, "Okay." So we did the video, we sent it to him, and he sent it to some high school here. So basically, they got me a scholarship. And I think after 2 months, right after 2 months, they make me fly down here to Boston, Massachusetts. Basically, is a high school called Redemption Christian Academy. So I went there. That's where I started. I started there like for 1 year, and after I transferred to Our Savior Lutheran in New York Bronx, and from there, that's where like I played there like for 3 years, and I have like a, back home we have like our transcript was in French. So I supposed to go to college, and when we send it to the NCAA, basically they say, "No, I have to translate the transcript to English before they accept it." So the time I translated is like a deadline already. So I have to go to JUCO for 1 year before, transfer back to G1. So that's where I went to South Plain College for 1 year before transfer here to Oklahoma.
So you go through all that, the technicality gets you on the transcript, what has it been like for you to finally get this chance at this level, considering everything you had to go through to get here?
It was a great, I know he wasn't there for because my transcript wasn't French, so I have to translate it, all that. So, was a great chance. I have the finally be eligible to be a G1 player.
For you, how have things changed since you've been here? I know you've lost a bunch of weight. You're finding more time on the basketball courts. Kind of what's it been like once you've gotten here?
It's been great. It's been great. The first day, when I have call with Coach Mike, he told me, "Are you ready to be you be in shape?" I'm like, "Yes, I will do anything." So when I got here, Coach Jake, our strength coach, I'll be with him even after practice, some extra time with him in the weight room, be working on it, every time.
How much have you changed since you've been here?
I changed a lot. When I came here, I was 268, and now I'm 246. So I lost a lot of weight, and the credit goes to Coach Jake. He really helped me get down to that weight.
Awesome. I'll let someone ask questions, but I'll probably come back.
Okay.
No problem. Our next question is from Frank Bonner at the Tulsa World.
Bernie, how's it going?
Good, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how has this experience been for your parents with you being over in Stillwater? And then, how has that been for them?
It's hard, but, like they say, you got to make a sacrifice so your kid can have good success. So that's why, they back home, we have we be calling in WhatsApp, so sometimes we be FaceTiming, and WhatsApp, so that help a lot.
So about how often do you speak with them, on occasion?
I speak with them 4 times a week, yeah, I can say 4 times a week. And basically I got to stay up until 12 or 1 a.m. because, the time is different. When it's 12 here, it's 6 or 7 a.m. back home. So, yeah.
And then with you, getting more playing time in these last couple of games, how have that been for you? Getting more game time recently.
It's been good. I do my job. When coach asks me to go in there, I just go there and do my job, and try to help the team the best I can.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next question from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Bern, thanks for taking the time. Kind of speaking of your parents, are they tall? Where did your size come from?
My size come from my dad. He's 7'2", and he played volleyball. So that's where my size come from.
That's awesome. Do they get to watch any of the games? I don't know what that's like with the time and everything.
They watch some games on YouTube, and when the games was posted on YouTube, they go there and watch it. So,
Gotcha. How I'm just reading on Wikipedia, so maybe not the best source, but it says the official languages of Chad are Arabic and French.
Yeah, our first language is French, second is Arabic, and third is a little bit English. But when back home, nobody speak English. Even from me, when I come to the United States, I wasn't even speak. I was zero English, basically, and it was I have to put work on it, that's why.
You mentioned your dad played volleyball. How did you kind of get into basketball? Who were kind of some of the people you like to watch whenever you were younger?
Basically, I started with volleyball, and when I was little, I started with volleyball or soccer, and one day I just decide, like, I see some people was playing basketball, so I'm like, you know what, let me go try it. So when I tried it, I fall in love with it, and basically I never went back to volleyball. And my dad was a little bit, disappointed, but they be arguing with my mom, like, nah, he got to go back to volleyball. My mom, like, nah, he choose basketball, so we cannot force him, so, that's why they let me play basketball.
Going back to the languages, which of the three is the hardest to learn? I hear, I just grew up, learning English, but I hear that English is kind of a tough language to learn.
Yeah, it was tough, it was tough. First, when I start learning, some friend be laughing at me, but some others be like, just don't worry about them, just keep say whatever you like. You saying it, even you say it wrong, just say it, you're gonna get better on it. So that's where I am now,
Gotcha. Thanks, Bern.
Yeah, thank you.
Jacob, it sounds like is ready for that follow-up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bernie, was it you mentioned the language being tough? Was the United States overwhelming at first? Because you hear of, like, say, foreign baseball players and stuff coming into the country and not knowing English and struggling to even order at a restaurant. Like, how overwhelming was the United States at first?
First, when I came first to the airport, I was lost, basically. So I have to use my phone to go to Google Translate and write something and ask. So they're going, so I asked them to call this number for me because I'm new here, So they called the number and they say, okay, make him wait at this place, and we're going to come pick him up. That's where they came and picked me up. And when we went to the campus, basically, they gave me an app called Duolingo, I think. It's like a English app learning. So I started, learn English from there, basically.
Now, how comfortable? I mean, you're speaking pretty well. So how comfortable are you now with English?
English, I know some word I don't understand well, but I keep asking for it, ask question every time, So thank God I speak well right now. So
I know you have 4 siblings.
Yeah.
Are they into sports too, or what are they?
My other brother, he played volleyball and soccer, basically, and my 2 sisters, they don't any sport, basically. They just focus on school.
Now, are they all still back in Africa, or are they over here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I have to ask about your screening, because Isaac was just talking about your screening being pretty brutal on some of your teammates, and you don't let up in practice. Where did you kind of get this screening ability from? Where did you learn that's going to be kind of something you're really going to be really good at?
When I transferred to OSU Lutheran, my coach, you know what, we're gonna work a lot on pick and roll, and that's where I start, getting a good screen. He always tell me, if you wanna be good pick and roll, you got to screen, you got to find the man, where to screen, at what moment, So that's where you're gonna help your game. He always told me it's not about about score or just do your job, exactly. Even here at Oklahoma State, Coach Mike always tell us, you got to do your part. When you go in, just do your part. Or screen, run the floor, or or rebound. That's he always told us that you got to do your job.
That's great. Thanks, Bernie. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you.
Frank, did you have a follow-up? Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I just got one quick one. When you were talking about the language barrier, when you first got to the U.S., how much did that play a role? Was it difficult in on the basketball court, learning new concepts and learning new plays? with that language barrier?
Yes, was really. I struggled with that. Like I think my freshman year, you know, even with communicating with my teammate, like be like a little bit hard, and you know, little by little I start, you know, learning, and that helped me a lot. And the game, from where I'm from, how we play and here was like a little bit, it was like different, like basically. So I have to, you know, work hard to adapt to the game from here, you know. Back home, we just like playing, you know, just play, you know, go in, you just play here, you know, you got to, if you got to do your job, screen, you know, basically do your job. Back home, we just play. We don't really have like a system, like, you know, or, you know.
So how long did it take for you to get comfortable with that part of the game? Just
I get comfortable with that in my sophomore year in high school. Yeah, that's where I start, you know, understanding the game from here, you know, all that.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
We probably have time for one more follow-up. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Bern, you've lived in a lot of places in the United States already, with Boston and New York and Texas and Oklahoma. What are the best parts of the United States, and what are the worst parts of the United States?
New York, I can say it's good, but you know, it's like, and it's a lot of like snow. That's where I didn't like, you know, like it, and it's basically a lot of noise too, you know. When you're in New York, you gotta hear a lot. Train here, you know, police, you know, all that. So I can say, like Oklahoma, I like it. Like, you know, it's quiet, like, you know, and the weather is not that bad, you know, and I really like it, you know. Like Sam, like in Texas, you know, the weather is better, you know. Yeah. And Massachusetts, oh my God, it's cold. Like some day we can have like the snow all day, like, and that is like, I don't know. And where I come from, we never have a snow, or you know, we never have like a weather like this. So that like it really didn't help me. Like,
Then last thing for me, what's kind of your long-term goal? Do you want to stay in the United States post graduation? Do you want to go back to Africa? What do you want to do?
I want to stay. I can say I want to stay, but I want to see what my mom gonna think about it first before I make that decision.
All right, thanks, Bern.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. Appreciate your time, and good luck tomorrow against Arkansas.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Coach Boynton, can you hear us okay?
I can.
Perfect. Appreciate you joining us today. I'd love to start it off by letting you know that Bernie said that New York was too cold and had too much traffic. But just to get your response, didn't know if you had any thoughts for him.
Oh, I mean, it's all about perspective, right? You know, he's coming from a place that's a little bit different than New York City. So I understand. But I took him to Ames, Iowa. He may not think that New York City's too cold anymore. So
no doubt. Obviously, we'll talk a lot about the Oklahoma State versus Arkansas matchup, but the biggest thing for tomorrow is we're going to pay tribute to 10 guys who lost their lives here in this program, as well as a legendary coach in Eddie Sutton. Would love to hear your thoughts on both of those things as we get this started.
Yeah, you know, as we're giving tributes, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Coach Chaney. I just heard of this when I got off the practice court that he passed today, and you know, a lot like Coach Thompson, Coach Chaney was a pioneer, trailblazer, legend, especially from a Black coaching standpoint. I actually got to play against one of his teams my senior year in college, and felt really fortunate to have done so. They beat us. They actually gave us our first loss of my senior season. And it's a memorable day because it's also the day that I graduated from college, December 15th, 2003. So certainly condolences to his family and the amount of people that he had an impact on from not only a coaching standpoint, but just from a general development and loving standpoint is truly remarkable. So lost another giant, and it's a tough day in the coaching world when you lose guys like that. So with that being said, obviously this weekend, really, really important weekend for our program. The Remember the 10 game is always one that carries a little bit more meaning for our players and our fans, for me, for our administration, and certainly for the families who lost their loved ones in the crash 20 years ago. Time certainly flies that it's already been 20 years. But I told our team today, this game does mean a little bit more in the sense that, we're representing a program who dealt with some really dark times. None of it was darker than January 27, 2001. And when they play tomorrow, win or lose, they need to play in a way that those people and their families would be proud to have us represent the jersey that they represented when they did. So certainly looking forward to going out there and competing against a really, really good team. Watched Arkansas about 7 or 8 times. They're terrific. And it's fitting that we would also be honoring Coach Sutton in that game. Obviously, this is the year he would have been in now the Hall of Fame. And so to have the teams closely connected to in this area playing against each other is fascinating. I thank Coach Musselman for being willing to participate in us helping to honor Coach Sutton. And look forward to what I expect to be a highly competitive and fun game. I think two teams that like to play really fast, so it'll be entertaining.
Thank you, sir. And your first question will come from Jacob with the Oklahoma. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, you'll be happy to know that Bernie did seem like he talked more how Massachusetts was a little colder than New York. He didn't seem to like Massachusetts at all. So I
don't like Massachusetts either. That's where the Boston Red Sox are.
Yeah, I figured. Hey, just to get it out of the way, is there an update on Cade going into tomorrow?
Yeah, so he's practiced. Just kind of go back. Monday night we weren't able to get out because of the beautiful weather in Ames, and so we didn't get back. Tuesday was supposed to be a big day for Cade. He was supposed to kind of get another evaluation and be able to get some more conditioning in. We weren't able to do that because he had some academic responsibilities when we finally did get back. So Wednesday, he was back on the court. We did that evaluation then. He was cleared to practice, did some contact stuff yesterday, practice today. And so I anticipate him being available. I don't know how much he's going to be able to go. A lot of it depends on how he feels when he's out there, but I do expect him to dress and be available to play.
The versatility, how much – with Cade now, if Cade's available tomorrow, how do you kind of handle lineups now that you've got kind of Caleb and MA the way they've been playing together, and Bernie too? Because you've gone small a lot more, but now you can use those guys more.
Yeah, the game kind of has a way of taking on its own life, foul trouble, runs, whatever. And tomorrow's game may be even more drastic than some of the others, right? I'll give you an example. You play K-State, you're trying to force the game to be faster. That's not going to be the case tomorrow. I advise anybody watching or coming to the game to be paying attention at all times because you could miss something when these two teams get together. We think we play fast, and we do relative to the other Big 12 teams. And Arkansas plays much faster, not just faster. They play much faster than we do from an analytical standpoint. So it's going to be a high-tempo game. And so that'll kind of – the lineups and how that works out will kind of be determined by how the game's going.
And on the topic of Bernie again, Ice talked about his screens are just brutal, even in practice. And you talked about how good of a screener is. How brutal are those screens? I mean, I know he's not setting a screen on you, but when you watch him set him on his teammates, how brutal is that?
Yeah, Bernie is part of the reason I don't practice as much as I used to. And I got out there with Juwan Evans and Devin Downey back in South Carolina. So, like, I'm good with guarding guards, but getting screened by a dude 6'10", 260 pounds, not that fun because he wants to make sure you know he screens you. He doesn't try to slip out. He's not running, trying to get the ball. He's trying to help his teammate get open. And so, yeah, he takes a lot of pride in doing that. It's a big part of us being able to have success offensively is him helping guys get open. And so, yeah, he's a pretty big physical body, and it's something that he takes a lot of pride in.
How did you what led you to Bernie? How did you find him?
So obviously, roster management is priority 1, 2, and 3 for me. Recruiting, you're always trying to find a way to improve year to year what your roster could look like. And we knew we were going to be pretty thin up front, both physically thin and from a depth standpoint thin. And we knew we needed another body, and we wanted a different body type. And Bernie was out there. I knew the guys he played for in not only prep school, but in AAU. And just made some calls around, had a chance to kind of get to know him. And they felt confident that he could come here and have success and that he wanted to just have an opportunity to prove himself. So the conversations were, we didn't recruit him that long, but I felt good about the evaluation and about what we would be able to expect from him in terms of providing that depth and girth and size inside. And he's been a joy to have on our program and on our team every day. And he's one of the best teammates I've ever been around.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
The next question is from Ben Hall. Go ahead, Ben.
Hey, Coach. Given the fact that Arkansas has not yet played a Big 12 opponent, and this is a non-conference game later in the year, how difficult has it been in watching their film and learning something about the team? And what is something that stuck out about this team to you?
They're really, really talented. They have a lot of guys who can make plays. I don't know how. I watch literally, it's all I do. I don't have any hobbies. I watch basketball all the time. So I've probably seen Arkansas play 5 times, even prior to starting scouting at them. Now, and when I'm watching them play on a Tuesday night, against Missouri or so, I'm not studying them. I'm just watching the game as a basketball fan. But I also have recruited a lot of the guys on their team. We obviously, we had Devo Davis committed here for a while. We recruited Jalen Williams. We recruited Moses Moody. And so we know the guys on their team. We recruited KK before he committed. So we know a lot of those kids. We know they're really, really talented. And Muss has done a great job of building a culture of exciting brand of basketball and really doing a great job motivating those kids and putting those guys in position to have success. The one thing that sticks out to me when you look at their numbers is they have a lot of guys who are capable three-point shooters. I mean, like literally everybody on their team who will play has made a three. And so that's something to be mindful of. We've played a little bit more zone here lately, and we got to watch if we can make sure we can get to the number of guys that can make threes on their team.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
The next question will be from Bob Holt from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Bob.
You mentioned you recruited Moses. What did you think of him as a high school player? What do you think about the season he's having at Arkansas?
Yeah, so a lot has been made about our recruiting of Cade Cunningham, and they were teammates at Montverde. So I've known Moses for a long time, but I started recruiting him when he was a freshman too. I didn't recruit him as aggressively or as intimately and didn't get to know him, but I've seen him play a lot. He's a terrific scorer. He can really, really shoot the basketball. He's got impeccable footwork for a young guy. And one of the things that I think he does well that doesn't get talked about as much is he's a really good offensive rebounder. And so we'll have our hands full. The one thing we know about him is he's playing with a lot of confidence. And coming off what's probably one of his least productive games the other day, I would imagine he's going to look to be pretty aggressive, especially playing against us and trying to get himself back on track before they head back into conference play. So he's really good, but they've got a lot of really good players. Justin Smith's really good. He's a matchup problem at his position. Jalen Tate's terrific, really does a good job getting into the lane. And, they've got a lot of other young guys, including Devo Davis and Jalen Williams, who just have continued to get better over the course of the season. So it's a really well-rounded team and one that we'll have to be prepared for a lot of different guys who can hurt you.
And Cade, definitely hope to see him play tomorrow, obviously. What kind of impact has he had? And he had so much hype. Has he lived up to the hype or maybe even exceeded it?
I don't know. It depends who you're asking, I guess. For me, he's been a joy to coach. I had pretty high expectations of him. He's been everything I expected. And the thing that I've enjoyed most is that he does it with a humility about himself. He works his butt off. He's a guy that you ask him to do anything, he does it. He play the 5, play the 1, guard the 5. And so I've been pleased to have an opportunity to be around him. He's helped me as a coach get better, and I hope I've done the same in helping him as a player develop.
And then you mentioned Devo, who seems like a really great kid, and I'm sure he was committed to you guys, but sometimes in recruiting, especially home state, guys will flip. Kind of what are your feelings about that and how that went down and your thoughts on Devo?
I love Devo Davis. He's truly one of the kids that I enjoyed recruiting the most because he's such a humble kid. I don't know if Devo thought he was as good as I thought he was, to be perfectly honest. He committed to us pretty early. And, I don't know how it changed, but I'm happy if he's happy. At the end of the day, the guys in our program, I want to be here and want to be a part of what we're doing. We're not going to get every recruit, and we're going to lose some more. But if he's happy, he looks like he's having success over there. I'm sure the pull, I know he's really, really close with his grandma and his granddad. And so maybe to have the opportunity for them to see him a little bit more often without traveling, they're older, probably was a draw to him. And I'm sure Musselman and Corey Williams, who I know well on the staff, did a good job of selling that to him. I don't feel like anything wrong went down. He just made a decision, and I wish for him the best.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Next question is from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, kind of going back to that a little bit. Is it almost you mentioned how early he committed. Is it almost surprising whenever you do get a kid that commits that early?
I mean, every recruiting situation is so different. We knew we were going to have a big class, so we wanted to try to get one early because it kind of helps, and maybe he can help recruit some other guys. He's really close with Jalen. We were recruiting him as well. We thought Devo may be able to help us get him. We wound up not with either one of them. So just happens, man. What you got to do is you got to be prepared. That's why we work as hard as we do in recruiting because you never know. And, we obviously were also recruiting Cade and Rondell and Mike Miles. I mean, you're not going to get all of them. I feel good about the ones we got.
And you mentioned you guys going after Devo, going after Jalen. Eric yesterday said that they were going after Rondell Walker pretty hard. As far as teams out of the conference goes, with the proximity to Arkansas, is that kind of who you find yourself recruiting against most often?
I guess I don't know if I've ever really thought about it that way. We really hadn't recruited against them that much until this past class, really. So, yeah, I would guess it makes sense. The schools aren't that far away from each other. The way, obviously, our styles of play are similar. So, in a lot of ways, it makes sense that we would recruit a lot of the same guys. The only thing's a little different is Musselman's recruited a little bit more aggressively in a transfer market than we have. And so, we'll see. But, we try to recruit J.D. Note a little bit, who they did get as a transfer. So yeah, I could see that. I just haven't given it much thought. I really don't focus on who's recruiting a kid, to be honest. If we're recruiting them, I try to get them. And if we don't get them, I wish them well. And if we get a chance to play against them, try to kick his butt.
You mentioned Cade earlier. How is Farron doing?
He's doing okay. He actually practiced for the first time yesterday in about 3 weeks. So that was a good sight. He couldn't get all the way through. We try to keep his condition up, but playing a game is different. So I don't think he's available tomorrow. But shoot around. He can feel a lot better. I don't want to commit to that at this point yet. But speaking of that recruiting question, it's interesting. I was watching our warm-ups against Kansas when we played them, and I recruited half their roster too. We recruited Dave McCormick and Bryce and Marcus Garrett and Ochi, and I'm looking out there like, damn, no wonder Kansas beats us because they beat us for all the players.
Well, they didn't beat you.
Not that day. Not that day.
All right.
I got the one that they really wanted.
You got the one that a lot of them really wanted. All right. Appreciate it, Mike.
Next question from Frank Bonner. Go ahead, Frank.
Mike, I wanted to ask you a couple more questions about Bernie. When we were talking to him, he said one of the main barriers for him was obviously, in terms of basketball-wise, was obviously the language barrier in communicating with his teams when he first got here, but also the style of play was different here. He said he had to get used to that. Now that he's been in your program, how have you seen him progress and just being comfortable with those two things?
Well, it's interesting that Bernie said the language barrier was a hindrance to him because no one talks more than Bernie. And I don't know if he cares that people don't understand him sometimes. I think he just likes to talk. So maybe from a terminology standpoint with our team in terms of concepts like that, maybe that was a challenge.
That's what he was talking about.
That kid never stops talking. But I've seen him just work at it. When he got here, we talked about it before. The biggest thing was you got to get in great shape. There are very little things you can do as a basketball player until you put your body in position that you can get up and down, especially the way we want to play. But he's embraced the work. He's approached the dieting part of it very seriously, and he's very conscious of doing whatever it takes to help our team play. He's found his way a little bit. There's a role for him here, but it's taken him a while to understand, and it's not the same every game. He started a couple of games back in December and then didn't play a couple of games. And that goes to show you the true measure of a really good teammate is he never changed how he approached practice. He's still always prepared to do whatever we need him to do. And again, I'm just happy he's here and helping us.
Yeah, and being able to use him the way you have used him, obviously you don't expect him to go out and get you 20 points or anything like that. But how does he benefit you guys having the rotation of being able to put him in to take, Caleb and MA out when they need to breathe and so on?
Just again, depth's important. And more important this year probably than ever because things change so fast and you could be down to a few guys like we were last week and you need guys ready to step up and do the job. So, the most impressive thing about Bernie is his attitude is the same every single day. And it doesn't matter what else is going on, whether he had a good day or a bad day at class or whether he's dealing with, not doing the job in the weight room. When he shows up to practice, he's focused. He's trying to figure out a way to help us. And his ability to screen and run the floor and rebound in his area are critical parts of our team having success moving forward.
Thank you, Mike.
Next question from Myron Patton. Go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, Mike, a lot of people, when they talk about your class, Cade is the first guy that comes up. But Iowa State, Rondell Walker, of course, he's played well for you all year. Matthew Alexander Moncrief, 22-12. It's a class that's really has set you up not just for this year, but for the next few years. It looks like that's living up to the hype, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's the word that I try to hold on to every day, and the way I've tried to build this program is intentionality. And I remember sitting in those press conferences, struggling to get some consistency with our group at that time. And those kids were great. It just took a little while, but having to answer questions about why we felt like we could get it done. And I believed it was because these are the guys that we were having these conversations with, not MA necessarily, but Cade and Rondell about where we wanted the future of this program to be. And we really looked to this year as a year we thought we could make a big jump. And those kids believed in that mission. Our staff was committed to it. And, we never stopped working at it. And so I'm thankful that The kids have believed in it. Our administration has supported us, our fans, although I'm sure it's been frustrating not seeing the success as quickly as any of us would have liked, have really stayed the course. And that's the message we got to continue to send. So you're right. It's not just Cade, because, again, the honest truth is, he's going to play about 12 or 15 more games for us. And, we're going to look to support him at the next level. But we think those other guys have a chance to continue to put us in position to be really competitive in this conference and nationally. So it's about not getting distracted, right? They can't get distracted when you win. You can't get distracted when you lose a recruit, when you blow a 19-point lead at home against West Virginia. How do you handle the process the next day? And that's all we try to do every day.
You like the fact you're stepping out of conference. You mentioned you watch Arkansas, you watch a lot of basketball, kind of a little ways maybe like preparing for an NCAA tournament game. I know that's a little bit further down the line, I guess, this season or whatever, but you're stepping out of conference against somebody that you don't play every year.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The challenge is here. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's a great opportunity, non-conference-wise, to get another quality opponent on the schedule. We got great respect for that program, and we know we're going to have our hands full as we get ready. And, we'll play as hard as we can, and we'll play for the families who lost loved ones in the Remember the 10 crash, and we'll play for Coach Sutton, and we'll try to put ourselves in position to make a run in the conference here after this game's over.
They remind you said they play faster than you guys. They remind you about it
significantly.
Who they remind you of? Who they remind you of? Like Kansas, because Kansas usually likes to play up and down. And who else?
Kansas doesn't play quite as fast this year. I mean, they're the fastest team we've seen all year, for sure. I mean, other than against ourselves in practice, and they're faster than that. I mean, so and they remind me of some of the classic fast teams that you've seen in college basketball. I'm talking like UNLV running Rebels type fast, and I mean, they get after it. I mean, they get up and down, and Musselman's high energy. It's the way they play. So I think we're in for a very, very entertaining basketball game tomorrow at 3:00.
Good luck.
Next question to follow up from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, to kind of get in on all the Bernie talk, whenever he, signed, whenever it was announced that he signed, it kind of looked like, a project piece. Is he ahead of the schedule that you might thought he would have been at this point?
Not for me. I don't get caught up in the stuff or the outside expectations. And part of it is there's just not information out there. I mean, it's hard. I get it. There's no reason to know he would be an impact guy. He was at a junior college last year and didn't do much. So of course he's going to be a while. But when you watch a kid work and you get to know what he's about day to day and what he values, then you realize once he gets his body in order, right, he's going to help us now. I mean, now we can't throw him the ball 10 straight possessions to ask him to score, but that's not what we asked him to come here for anyway. The recruiting conversations were honest about how he could help us have success and how we could help him put in position to enjoy college basketball. And that's all really that it is every day, is show up every day, become a good free throw shooter. As a big, if you rebound offensively, you're probably going to get fouled some. Set good screens to help your teammates, run the floor as hard as you can, and enjoy it. And that's what he's done. So I think he's doing exactly what I expected him to be able to do, regardless of what some others may have thought he was capable of.
We joked about New York earlier, and obviously Bernie's not, full-blooded New Yorker or anything, but is that an area that you feel like you still have pretty deep ties to that you could recruit from?
Absolutely. I recruit 365 days a year, and probably about 100 of those days, there's a call to somebody up in New York City about something. And it may be that a kid from Atlanta has family from New York. It may be a kid that just moved to Texas that dad played with somebody that I know. So there's always connections there. And it's for us, it's about the right fit. And I think I've said this before. It's really more to me about making sure the guys you get actually work out for you, right? And that's been a part of our challenge, if we're being honest. We've had guys come through that haven't panned out. That hurts you much more than missing out on Bryce Thompson, so to speak, right? It's taking the guy that doesn't necessarily help you that hurts you a lot more than missing out on one that goes somewhere else and has success. So we've got to continue to do a good job evaluating and making sure that the guys understand what the expectations are when they come here. And I'll never stop recruiting New Yorkers. We're recruiting a few of those guys right now, but we only get 13. And, the moment I go to 14, I'm going to get asked why.
Probably by me.
But I'll always be at 13 when it matters.
What's I guess the sales pitch? Because you think of a kid from New York, he's got it all up there, the big city kind of life. What's kind of the sales pitch to get him to come all the way to the middle of nowhere in Stillwater, Oklahoma?
This program sells itself quite a bit, to be perfectly honest. Our conference and the competitive level of basketball in the conference is also obviously a huge selling point. But basketball is a big deal here. Football's become really good in the last 15 years, and Coach Gundy's done a great job of making that program nationally relevant. But prior to that, I don't know much about Oklahoma State football, right? And I didn't know much about Oklahoma State basketball until I started studying it, and it's been good for a long time. The first program ever to win back-to-back national championships. It's not relevant to a 19-year-old now, but it's still a fact. And so you got to continue to sell what we've been, who we are, and why can't you do it again here? We've been able to help guys be in position to play professional basketball. We play in the most competitive basketball conference in the country. You can win a national championship here. You can play in front of fans who care about the game. And so I think there's a lot of things to sell or to get kids to understand why this is a great place to be. And now having the best player in the country put his stamp of approval on it and then come here and have success certainly can't hurt that.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Coach, we appreciate you joining us today. Best of luck against Arkansas tomorrow, and we'll talk to everybody after the game.
Thanks a lot. Safe travels, everyone.